The word if is sometimes telling you that there is a necessary condition. And the word if, same word, is sometimes telling you that there is a sufficient condition. Now, there is a difference between the conditions that are necessary for something and the conditions that are sufficient for something. And we're going to talk about both of those right now. But here's my point. The word if, the phrase only if, and the phrase if and only if mean three different things. Those three phrases, or that's a word, mean three different things. If by itself means that something is possibly sufficient. Only if means that you have a necessary condition. If and only if means that you have a necessary and sufficient condition. Let's have examples of all three of those to see that they really are different. So here's an example. If you want to do well in school, then you should go to class. What's your reason for going to class? Your reason for going to class is that you want to do well in school. On the condition that you want to do well in school, then it makes sense to go to class. So assuming that you want to do well in school, that's enough. That's sufficient motivation to get you to go. So a basic if then is telling you that something is sufficient. If Z, then Y means that Z is enough for Y. That doesn't mean it's sufficient and necessary. It just means that it's sufficient. You have enough motivation to go to class if you want to do well in school. There's like a combination of ideas that are in the background that we're going to ignore because the real point here is what's the difference between that and only if and if and only if. So here's an only if, and notice that this is not a sufficient condition. This is a necessary condition. So here's this example. You get an A in this class only if you have perfect attendance. What happens, like assume this is true, right? What happens if you do all of the homework perfect and you take the midterm exam and you get an A and you take the final exam and you get an A on the final? Are you going to get an A in the class? We don't know. We have to figure out if you had perfect attendance. And if you didn't have perfect attendance, you're not going to get an A. You're going to get an A only if you had perfect attendance. Only if is telling you that the condition you have to satisfy is a necessary condition. You won't get an A no matter what you do unless you also had perfect attendance. Only if means that there is a necessary condition that you have to satisfy. That doesn't mean sufficient. You know why? Because maybe you have to do two things. Maybe you need an A on the final and have perfect attendance. This statement would still be true. You get an A in this class only if you have perfect attendance. A perfect attendance is necessary. There might be other things that are also necessary. This isn't sufficient. It's not enough, but you have to do this if you want an A. So only if means necessary. If means sufficient. Let's put those words together. If and only if. If and only if means necessary and sufficient conditions are being given to you. Let's have an example. I'm going to tell you that you're going to get an A in this class if and only if you have perfect attendance. Assume you want an A. What do you have to do in my class? You have to have perfect attendance. That's it. If and only if means necessary and sufficient conditions. You could do no homework at all. You could get a fail on the midterm exam. You could also fail the final exam. You could still get an A. All you need to get an A is a perfect attendance. It is required to have perfect attendance to get an A. It is also enough to get an A, that you had perfect attendance. So if and only if means necessary and sufficient conditions.